That is Devil's Tower right there. And that is Jamie. And he smiled. He may not have done that too much today. It was windy and people on the road weren't nice. This is what he wanted and we got it. Traveling to the iconic Devil's Tower National Monument and camping with an amazing view of it is another RVing accomplishment checked off our bucket list.
To say this landmark is awesome doesn't really come close to express how it feels to actually be there in front of it, up close, in person.
On this episode, we'll show you a little history, where to stay, where to park, and what you'll experience on the two most popular trails at Devil's Tower National Monument, here in the beautiful state of Wyoming.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Linda.
And this is Roaming with Rosie.
There are things in nature that engender an awful quiet in the heart of man. Devil's Tower is one of them. N. Scott Momaday. Devil's Tower. Jamie's dream to come back here as an adult. We're here.
Yep.
A U.S. Geological Survey party arrived here in 1875. The group included an indigenous interpreter from the Sioux Nation to communicate with area tribes. Keep in mind that each tribe had its own language dialects. The interpreter believed they called it Bad God's Tower, which in English became Devil's Tower. Today, it is thought that this interpretation was incorrect. Indigenous people had many similar names for it, the most common being Bear Lodge or Bear Lodge Butte. Almost all of these Native American tribes had a name for it that was associated with a bear. A slight difference in language could have meant bear instead of bad god. Over 20 Native American tribes still consider this a sacred place today. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt proclaimed Devil's Tower the first national monument under the new Antiquities Act. So this is the parking lot on a Friday afternoon in August. We thought it would be worse because people coming in for the weekend, but we're around mid-August right now. The park is not too crowded to park. The trails are busy, but not too crowded.
Today we're doing one of the moderate trails here at Devil's Tower. It's called the Red Beds Trail. It's a 2.8 mile loop. We decided to do that one first because it's a little bit earlier in the day, and it's supposed to be a little hotter because you go out in the prairies a little bit. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to get that done and go to the visitor center, and then do the 1.3 mile loop that's closer to the tower. So that's what we're doing.
So these two trails are at the same point where you start, the same starting point. I believe this one goes out and around, but we will find out. It's important to know that dogs are not allowed on any of the trails in the National Monument, and summer temperatures are too hot to leave them in the car or RV if they're not air conditioned. There are no hookups at the Belle Fourche campground within the park. The campground is open May 15th through October 15th and doesn't take reservations. We arrived about 10 days after Sturgis Motorcycle Rally ended, and there were some spots available. However, the largest RV allowed is 35 feet. Some people have said their RV was a bit longer. However, it's important to note there are low tree branches you need to drive under within the campground loop. But this is where we decided to plan ahead and splurge. We booked a site at the Devil's Tower KOA, which is literally just outside the entrance booth, and we are so glad we did. Not only is the park spacious, it offers campsites to suit almost any style of camping, including these beautiful teepees along the Belle Fourche River with the beautiful red walls to add to the view. Most are designed to give a great view of the tower, and we were able to have a 50 amp connection, which meant the AC could stay on and the motorhome was comfortable for Dexter. And because the monument's just next door, we could come back here for lunch and give Dexter a walk. The KOA Campstool Cafe is attached to the sweet shop and gift emporium, which is one of the best gift shops I encountered on the trip. We also splurged on the ice cream from the sweet shop, and we recommend treating yourself to one too. But you may want to pick up some popcorn instead, because besides the view, the other feature we were excited about was watching the 1977 film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The multi-award-winning Steven Spielberg movie was filmed here on the campground property. They proudly show it every night after sunset in their outdoor theater with the tower as the backdrop to the screen. As the film started and the sky darkened, the stars in the sky became so clear, and even though we've seen the movie a bunch of times, I couldn't stop thinking some of those stars were moving around. It was a really fun time. So the tower is behind us, and this is our first view from the Red Beds Trail. I think this is what makes it more of a moderate trail, is just having to watch your step. A little bit of ascent, a little bit of descent so far. It's kind of like having to walk and chew gum. So right now we're going down a lot more than we've gone up so far, so that's going to mean on a loop that we're going to have more uphill at some point in this trail. Oh, wow. That is cool. So that's the entrance, as well as the KOA where we're camped. It looks like a giant door, like there's a hole inside humans aren't allowed to see. What do you think?
Yeah, that's where they keep all the alien spaceships. Richard Dreyfuss is in there.
Richard Dreyfuss is in there?
Yeah.
So this is the trail I imagine if we wanted to walk into the park. That's where we saw those cones.
You come up right there.
And that's our campground. So we could walk over to here if it gets too crowded to park.
This is why this trail is called Red Beds, because you got this red soil at the bottom of the hill. It looks a lot like Sedona. Pretty cool.
You are making all that noise. That's what I thought was machines running.
Yeah, no, it's those
freaky grasshoppers. I'm not enjoying this because there's a lot of yellow jackets in here. But mostly grasshoppers. And just when you thought you were done climbing the side of a mountain, all right, last third. Hopefully no more big hills going up. So this trail was rated moderate. I think that was a really good rating for it. Wasn't super hard, But there was definitely some going uphill and downhill and going through rocky areas. So we're almost done. Located near the picnic area is the Sacred Circle of Smoke sculpture, the third in a series of peace sculptures planned for significant sites around the world. The other two are at the Vatican and Buddha Gaya in India. Devil's Tower is chosen because it's considered sacred by so many Native American tribes. As a gesture of world peace, the artist designed it to evoke the image of a puff of smoke from a peace pipe. I don't have no food. People feed you, that's why you came all the way up to me, huh? No, go back, run away. Don't cross the road. Yeah, you're making all that noise. Warning, warning. Be sorry. Trying to keep your friend off the road. Yeah, I chased him back. This one. He's the one that's not scared. Because people feed them. Today we're on the Devil's Tower Trail, or the Tower Trail as they call it. It's completely paved, so it is accessible to most everyone. But there is some steep areas.
Yep.
Obviously, we're all the way up here where the boulder bed is, and that's at the base of the tower. The parking lot is further downhill where we started.
Right.
So let's go check out the trail.
This looks like the area where Richard Dreyfuss and Melanie Dillon climbed up to get to the other side to find the landing strip for the aliens. And I think right up here is where Richard Dreyfuss was sliding down a couple of times just before they fogged him. So luckily he got away and was able to get on the ship and take off with the aliens.
If you've seen some of our Arizona videos, the ponderosa pines have one thing about them that makes them unique, and that's that when they get a certain age and they start to get this yellow coloring, they smell like vanilla or caramel, or like Jamie says, it smells like Werther's. I say it smells like cupcakes, but this one smells like candy. The Tower Trail provides lots of nice areas to sit in the shade of the tower and the trees, so you can take your time. So it is a little bit strenuous, but you can certainly take your time. We're here on a nice August day. Temperature today is expected to be in the very low 90s, but this trail, the Tower Trail, is very shaded, and we're in the first, and it's before noon, so it seems okay. I'm not really getting too hot. It's more just the quick elevation gain. But it looks like we might be all downhill from here. Lots of benches. Okay. So this boulder right here is one of the columns that came down from up there. However, they say don't worry, because there's been none that have fallen since they've been keeping track since 1906. So none have fallen since then. So you could either say that gives you comfort, or we're due for a boulder to fall. These symmetrical columns are the tallest, some of them more than 600 feet, and widest 10 to 20 feet in the world. We made it to the top
Of the paved path.
and there's a bench here.
Yeah, so now we're sitting and we're actually watching the real climbers climb to the top. There's a couple that are going up and a few that are coming back down, so it's pretty incredible.
I would definitely recommend this trail. I thought it was just going to be an easy touristy trail, and we did the harder trails yesterday. But actually this trail gives you the closest view you're going to get without climbing up it, especially on the backside. There is an ascent. I'll put here how high that was, and it's in a very short distance, so it's kind of steep, but it is all paved, so it's accessible for a lot of people. And we're just taking a rest at the top before we start going downhill around the other side. The trail through all the boulders is pretty cool. This is a very steep descent. On our last evening, we saw this classic parked across from our site and learned that the 20th annual Devil's Tower Car Show would be held the next day right here at the KOA campground. The event is sponsored by the Texas Trail Cruiser Car Club and attracted 127 entrants. We hope you enjoyed roaming with Rosie today. For more information on the places featured in this episode, check out the links in the video description, as well as products and equipment we use and recommend. We sometimes do receive a small commission when you use our links for purchases, which is a great way at no additional cost to you to help offset some of our production costs. Thank you so much for watching and sharing our videos and subscribing to Roaming with Rosie. We'd love to hear from you and encourage your comments and questions.